Hey everybody, and welcome to a brand new deep dive. Today we're all about getting you prepped and ready for a warehouse worker interview.
Cool.
And we've got a ton of awesome resources to help us out. We've got a career guide, whole bunch of interview guides, and to top it off, some really cool AI insights from our friends over at RoleCatcher.
Yeah, and what I think is really interesting here is the job outlook for warehouse workers.
Hmm.
It's projected to grow at 4.5%, which basically means this is a field with some serious staying power.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's not just about, snagging that job offer. It's about landing a role in a field that's actually on the rise.
Right.
So how can RoleCatcher, give us that extra edge in the job hunt?
Well, you can think of it kind of like your own personal interview coach.
Sure.
It's free to get started, and they've got a whole bunch of resources on there, like those career guides we've got right here. But what really sets it apart is the AI. Like, it can actually analyze job descriptions to figure out the exact skills employers are looking for, and then it helps you, tailor your resume to highlight those skills.
Oh, they're pretty slick.
Yeah.
So it's not just about what you've done, but how you present it
Yeah.
to match what they want.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's clever.
Yeah.
I also heard about this Copilot AI subscription. What's that all about?
That's where things get really interesting. So Copilot AI takes it to the next level by giving you feedback on practice interviews.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like having an expert just analyze your responses and give you personalized tips on how to improve.
So RoleCatcher's definitely in our corner for this one.
For sure.
But before we jump into all those interview questions, can you give us a little, rundown of what a warehouse worker actually does day to day?
So you can kind of think of a warehouse worker as the backbone of the supply chain.
Yeah.
They receive goods, they organize all the inventory, pick and pack orders, and just make sure everything runs smoothly. Accuracy, efficiency, and safety, those are their superpowers.
Mhm. So it's a lot more than just, lifting boxes.
Oh, yeah.
There's a real emphasis on detail and
Wow.
process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And while there aren't, super strict education requirements for this role, the career guide mentioned that things like forklift operation or OSHA warehouse safety certifications can give you a serious advantage.
For sure.
It shows that commitment to the job and to safety, which employers really value.
Absolutely.
It's like a signal that you're serious about this as a career path and not just a temporary gig.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I am ready to dive into these interview questions. I know our listeners are probably eager to get some practice in.
Yeah.
So let's start with one that I know is super common for entry-level positions. Tell me about your experience working in a warehouse.
Yeah, this question might seem pretty straightforward, but it's more than just listing your past jobs. The interviewer is actually looking for evidence that you really understand the warehouse environment, that you're familiar with the tasks, and you've actually got those hands-on skills they need.
So even if you haven't worked in a warehouse specifically, how can you tailor your answer to impress them?
I would say focus on those transferable skills from other jobs.
Okay.
So have you ever had a role that required, organization, attention to detail, physical stamina, or teamwork?
Yeah, those are all important.
Yeah, these are all valuable assets in a warehouse.
Yeah.
And remember, the career guide, that getting started section, it emphasizes gaining hands-on experience even through volunteering or side projects. So don't be afraid to mention those.
So you're saying any relevant experience can be framed to show that you've got what it takes.
Exactly.
I like that. Now, for someone with some warehouse experience under their belt, what kind of question might they face?
A typical mid-level question might be, how do you prioritize your tasks in a fast-paced environment?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Warehouses are all about efficiency, so how can our listener demonstrate that they can handle that pressure?
This is where you really showcase your organizational skills and your ability to stay calm when things get hectic.
Mm-hmm.
Think about those prioritization frameworks, like the Eisenhower matrix. You could say something like, I prioritize tasks based on urgency and importance. So, for example, if a rush order comes in, I immediately focus on fulfilling that while also making sure that other tasks are completed efficiently and accurately.
That's a really clear and concise way to show that you've got a system for managing your workload.
Right.
Now, what if the interviewer wants to dig a little deeper? What kind of follow-up question might they ask?
They might ask, can you give me an example of a time when you had to reprioritize your tasks because of an unexpected situation?
Ah, the curveball.
Yeah.
So it's not just about having a plan, but being able to adapt on the fly.
Exactly. Have a specific scenario in mind where you had to adjust your plans and still get those results.
Okay.
This is going to show them you can think on your feet and handle the unexpected, which is super important in a dynamic warehouse environment.
All right, let's move on to another crucial skill, accuracy.
Right.
I'm guessing there's a question about that lurking in those interview guides.
Oh, you bet. How do you ensure accuracy when picking and packing orders is a super common one.
Yeah.
And remember, in a warehouse, even tiny mistakes can have a big impact.
Yeah, I imagine it can be easy to make mistakes when you're dealing with so many items.
Hmm.
So how can our listener demonstrate they're a real stickler for detail?
This is your chance to highlight your meticulousness.
Okay.
Walk the interviewer through your process, like step by step. You could say something like, I always double check those order details. I verify the product codes, the quantities, and any special instructions. Then I carefully select each item, I compare it to the order list, and I make sure it's in good condition before packing it securely.
That's a great way to paint a picture of someone who really takes pride in their work and, really strives for perfection. Now, what kind of follow-up question might they ask to test your attention to detail even further?
They might ask, have you ever made a mistake while picking or packing an order? What did you learn from that experience?
Oh, I bet that one makes people sweat.
Oh, yeah. It's all about owning your mistakes and showing that you actually learn from them. Don't be afraid to talk about a time when you messed up, but focus on what you learned from it and how you improved your process to prevent future errors.
Okay, let's shift gears to something a little different. Customer interaction.
Okay.
Even if you're not, dealing with customers directly, it's still a valuable skill to demonstrate. What kind of question might they ask about that?
A classic one is, how do you handle difficult or challenging customers?
Oh, I think we've all encountered those.
Yeah.
So how do you stay professional and calm when you're dealing with a frustrated customer?
The key here is to emphasize empathy and active listening. You could say something like, I always start by listening carefully to the customer's concerns, acknowledging their frustration, and trying to understand their perspective. Then I calmly explain the situation and offer solutions or alternatives whenever possible. My goal is to turn that negative experience into a positive one.
That's a great approach.
Yeah.
It shows you're not just about completing tasks, but you're about building those relationships, which is important even in a warehouse setting. And what's cool here is how this actually connects to the career guide's Elevating Your Career section.
Right.
It emphasizes the need for strong communication and interpersonal skills as you progress in this field.
Absolutely. Those skills are valuable no matter what direction you take your career. Now, shifting gears to a topic that's absolutely essential in a warehouse environment. Safety.
Okay, let's talk safety.
Yeah.
I'm ready to impress them with my safety know-how.
A common question is, how do you maintain a safe working environment in the warehouse? And this is your chance to really show that you understand those safety protocols and are totally committed to following them.
Yeah.
You could say something like, I always wear the appropriate personal protective equipment, like steel-toed boots and safety glasses. I'm mindful of proper lifting techniques to avoid injuries, and I always report any potential hazards to my supervisor right away.
That's a good start, but how can you make your answer really stand out from the crowd?
Think about a time when you went above and beyond to maintain a safe work environment.
Okay.
Maybe you noticed a spill and you cleaned it up immediately, or maybe you pointed out a faulty piece of equipment that could have caused an accident.
Those are great examples.
Yeah.
It shows you're not just following the rules, but you're actively looking out for yourself and your coworkers.
And this connects back to those certifications we mentioned earlier. Having a forklift certification or an OSHA warehouse safety certification really underscores your commitment to safety.
Absolutely. It's like having a badge of honor that says, I take safety seriously. I like it. Okay, we're making great progress here. Let's move on to another essential quality for a warehouse worker: organization. How might the interviewer assess this skill?
How do you stay organized in a busy warehouse? That's the question that gets straight to the point.
It can be pretty chaotic in there.
Yeah.
But how do you stay focused and efficient amidst all that activity?
This is where you really shine. Showcase your systems and strategies for staying on top of things. You could say something like, I'm a big believer in labeling everything clearly, from the shelves and bins to individual items. I also use checklists to track my progress and make sure I don't miss any steps. And of course, I keep those inventory records accurate in real time to avoid any discrepancies.
Those are all great techniques.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm more organized just hearing you describe them.
Right.
But what if the interviewer wants to see how you handle a real-life organizational challenge? What kind of follow-up question might they ask?
They might ask, can you describe a time when you had to deal with a disorganized situation in the warehouse? Like, how did you bring order to the chaos?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's about showing initiative and using your organizational skills to actually solve problems.
Right. Have a specific scenario ready where you use your organizational skills to overcome a challenge and improve that efficiency in the warehouse.
Hmm.
This shows you can take charge and make a real positive impact.
All right, we are on a roll. Let's move on to another crucial aspect of warehouse work, inventory management. I imagine there's a question about that coming up.
How do you ensure that inventory records are accurate? It's a classic question in this field.
Yeah, accuracy in inventory management is so important.
Oh, for sure.
Inaccurate records can lead to all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
What's the winning strategy for answering this question?
This is all about demonstrating your meticulousness and attention to detail. Explain your process for maintaining accurate records. You could say something like, I conduct regular inventory counts, comparing the physical stock to those digital records. I immediately update the system whenever I receive or ship out goods, and I reconcile any discrepancies right away.
Hmm.
I also pay close attention to those expiration dates and rotate stock accordingly.
That sounds like a really thorough system. And it actually reminds me of that elevating your career section in the career guide again.
Right.
It mentions specializing in areas like inventory management.
Absolutely. And this question is a great opportunity to show that you're actually interested in that aspect of the job and you've got the skills to excel in it. Now, let's switch gears to a potential problem scenario. Out of stock products.
Okay, I'm curious to hear how we handle this one.
They might say something like, how do you handle a situation where a product is out of stock?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. No one likes to disappoint customers or delay orders. So how does our listener navigate this situation effectively?
It's all about communication and problem solving. Be transparent with the customer, Offer solutions. You could say something like, I always start by apologizing for the inconvenience and explaining the situation honestly. Then I provide an estimated restock date and offer alternative products if we have them available. If it's a time-sensitive order, I explore expedited shipping options or work with the customer to just find the best possible solution.
That's a great way to, turn a potentially negative situation into a positive one.
Yeah,
It shows you're proactive and committed to finding that resolution.
absolutely.
And what's cool here is how this scenario can actually be used to showcase your problem-solving skills.
Right.
Remember, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze job descriptions and highlight keywords related to problem solving, so make sure to emphasize your ability to handle these types of situations.
You're absolutely right. It's all about connecting your experiences to what that employer is actually looking for.
All right, let's tackle another important skill for warehouse work, operating machinery and equipment. I'm guessing there's a question about that coming up.
What experience do you have with operating machinery and equipment in a warehouse?
That's a common one, yeah.
Okay, here's where we get to talk about forklifts and pallet jacks. Safety is definitely paramount here. So how does our listener demonstrate both their skills and their commitment to safe operation?
So if you've got experience with specific equipment, be specific, Talk about the types of machinery you've operated, highlight any relevant certifications you've got, and just emphasize your commitment to following those safety protocols. For example, you could say, I'm certified to operate forklifts, and I have extensive experience using pallet jacks, hand trucks, and other warehouse equipment. I'm always mindful of safety guidelines. I conduct pre-operation checks, wear appropriate safety gear, and operate equipment with caution and precision.
That's a great way to show you're confident and competent, and those certifications definitely add some credibility.
For sure.
But what if you don't have experience with certain equipment? If you haven't had the opportunity to operate certain equipment yet, don't worry about it. You can still express your, eagerness to learn and highlight any transferable skills like operating similar machinery or demonstrating that you have a really strong understanding of safety procedures.
That's a really good point.
Yeah,
It's all about showing that you're willing to learn and adapt.
exactly. Now, let's imagine a scenario where a customer gets a damaged product.
Okay.
That's never a good situation.
No.
But it's really important to be prepared to handle it professionally.
Yeah.
So what kind of question might they ask about that?
Okay, I'm all ears.
They might say something like, how do you handle a situation where a customer receives a damaged product?
This is a tough one.
Yeah,
It's all about turning a negative experience into a positive one.
right.
What's the best way to approach this?
This is where you showcase those customer service skills and problem-solving abilities. Apologize sincerely, take ownership of this issue, and offer a solution. You could say, I always start by expressing my sincere apologies to the customer for the inconvenience. Then I gather all the necessary information about that damaged product, including the order details and photos of the damage.
Okay.
Then I offer a resolution, whether that's a replacement, a refund, or maybe a discount on a future purchase. My goal is to ensure that the customer is satisfied and maintain that positive relationship.
That's a great example of going the extra mile to make things right.
Yeah.
It shows you're not just following procedures, you genuinely care about the customer experience.
Exactly. And that kind of customer-centric approach is valuable in any business, especially in the fast-paced world of warehousing and logistics.
We've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
From organization and safety to customer service and problem solving, I feel like our listener is, well equipped to handle these interview questions.
Remember, preparation is key. The more you practice your answers to these common interview questions, the more confident you're going to feel when you're sitting across from that hiring manager. And don't forget to tailor your answers to the specific job that you're applying for, highlighting those skills and experiences that are most relevant to that role.
Excellent advice. And don't forget, we've only just scratched the surface here. Stay tuned for part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll continue to explore more interview questions and provide you with even more tips and tricks to help you land that dream warehouse job.
We'll be back soon with more insights to help you ace that interview.
Sounds good.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the world of warehouse work and interview prep. We're ready to tackle even more of those tricky interview questions, so let's just jump right in.
Yeah, I'm fired up for round 2. What's next on our list of interview challenges?
Let's talk about a question that really tests those problem-solving skills. How do you handle a situation where a customer receives the wrong product?
Ooh, that's a good one. Mistakes happen, but it's all about making things right. What's the best way to approach a question like this?
The key here is to demonstrate accountability, empathy, and a proactive approach. So start by acknowledging the error and apologizing to the customer for the inconvenience.
Okay, that makes sense. Show them you understand the impact of the mistake. What comes next?
Then explain the steps that you would take to actually rectify the situation. So this might involve, verifying the order details, checking the inventory records, and then arranging for that correct product to be shipped out as quickly as possible.
So it's about taking ownership and outlining a clear plan of action.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to reassure the customer that you're taking their concerns seriously and you're doing everything you can to make things right. And remember, RoleCatcher's Copilot AI can actually help you practice these types of scenarios and get feedback on your responses.
Oh, cool.
So it's kind of like having a personal coach to guide you through those tricky situations.
It's all about being prepared for anything. Now, let's shift gears to a question that's all about teamwork. Describe a time when you had to work as part of a team to achieve a goal in a warehouse environment.
Ah, teamwork.
Yes.
The heart and soul of any successful warehouse operation. This question is really designed to assess your collaboration skills, your ability to communicate effectively, and your willingness to contribute to that shared objective.
Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say. So how can our listeners showcase their, team player abilities?
Think back to a specific example from your own experience where you worked as part of a team in a warehouse setting.
Oh.
Could be anything from unloading a shipment to organizing inventory or fulfilling a large order. Be sure to describe your role within the team, the challenges you faced, the actions that you took, and the outcome that you achieved.
So it's about painting a vivid picture of your experience and highlighting those collaborative skills.
Exactly. Emphasize the importance of communication and collaboration. How did you contribute to the team's success? What challenges did you overcome together? Remember, these types of behavioral questions, they're really designed to assess your past behavior as a predictor of your future performance.
That's a great point. It's not just about what you say you'll do, it's about showing them that you've already done it. Now, let's tackle another question that's sure to come up in a warehouse worker interview. How do you handle stress and pressure in a fast-paced work environment?
This question is all about gauging your ability to stay calm, focused, and productive under pressure. Warehouses can be really demanding environments, tight deadlines, constant activity, so it's super important to demonstrate that you can handle the heat.
So how does our listener convince the interviewer that they're up for the challenge?
Start by acknowledging that warehouse work, it can be stressful at times.
Yeah.
But emphasize your ability to manage pressure effectively.
Okay.
Share specific techniques that you use to stay calm and focused. For example, you could mention prioritizing tasks, breaking down large projects into smaller, more manageable steps, taking short breaks to just clear your head, or even using some mindfulness techniques like deep breathing or meditation.
Those are all great strategies, but it's one thing to talk about it, it's another to actually show it. What kind of example could our listener use to illustrate their, ability to handle stress in action?
Think of a time when you faced a particularly stressful situation in a warehouse environment and successfully navigated it. Maybe there was like a last-minute rush order or a sudden influx of deliveries or even an unexpected equipment malfunction. Describe how you stayed calm, assessed the situation, and then took action to resolve that issue.
So it's about showing, not just telling, that you can handle the pressure. Now let's shift gears to a question that's all about initiative and problem solving. Tell me about a time you identified a problem in the warehouse and took steps to solve it.
This is a great question because it allows you to demonstrate your proactiveness, your analytical thinking skills, and your ability to implement solutions. So think of a time when you went above and beyond your regular duties to actually identify and address an issue.
This is where our listener can really shine. What kind of example would impress the interviewer?
Could be anything from improving a process to streamlining a workflow or addressing a safety hazard. For example, you might have noticed that a particular piece of equipment was breaking down frequently, causing delays and frustration.
Yep.
You took the initiative to investigate the issue, consult with your colleagues, and propose a solution to actually prevent future breakdowns.
It's all about showing that you're not just a task doer, you're a problem solver.
Exactly. Employers really value employees who can think critically and take initiative to improve things.
Now, let's talk about a question that's often asked at the end of an interview. Do you have any questions for me?
This is your chance to show that you're genuinely interested in the role and the company. So don't just say no. Come prepared with a few, thoughtful questions that demonstrate you've done your research and you're eager to learn more.
What kind of questions would impress the interviewer?
You could ask about the company culture, their growth plans, the opportunities for advancement within the role, or even the day-to-day responsibilities of the position.
Yeah.
Avoid asking questions that could easily be answered with a quick Google search.
Mm-hmm.
This is your opportunity to really engage with the interviewer on like a deeper level and gain some valuable insights into the company and the role.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
Yeah, we have.
We've tackled some of the toughest interview questions and equipped our listener with the strategies and examples they need to succeed. But before we wrap up, I want to touch on one more important aspect of the interview process: body language and presentation.
That's a great point. It's not just what you say, it's how you actually present yourself. Even in a virtual interview setting, your body language and demeanor can make a big difference.
So what tips can you share to help our listener make that positive impression?
First and foremost, make eye contact with the interviewer.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that you're engaged and attentive. Sit up straight, maintain good posture, and avoid fidgeting. These small details can really convey confidence and professionalism.
It's all about projecting that positive image.
Yeah.
Even if you're nervous, try to relax and be yourself. Authenticity is always appreciated.
Absolutely. Remember, the interviewer wants to get to know the real you. Let your personality shine through and show your enthusiasm for the role. A genuine smile can go a long way.
We've reached the end of part 2 of our deep dive into acing that warehouse worker interview.
Yeah.
I feel like we've given our listener a solid foundation to build upon.
Yeah. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll wrap things up with some final tips and insights to help you land that dream warehouse job.
We'll be back soon to help you seal the deal.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into acing that warehouse worker interview.
I'm so excited to wrap this up and, send our listener out there feeling totally prepared.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground already, from tackling those tricky interview questions to projecting confidence through body language.
It's been quite a journey. You've been a fantastic student.
But before we let our listener go, I feel like there's one more, crucial skill we need to touch on, and that's problem solving.
You're absolutely right. Warehouses are dynamic environments, and things don't always go according to plan. That ability to think on your feet, identify those problems, and come up with solutions is absolutely essential in this role.
So how might an interviewer try to gauge this essential skill?
They might ask a behavioral question like, tell me about a time you faced a challenging situation in a warehouse setting. How did you approach the problem and what was the outcome?
Ah, the classic behavioral question. It's all about showcasing your critical thinking skills and your ability to handle those unexpected situations.
Exactly. And this is where storytelling comes in.
Okay, I'm all ears. How can our listener craft a compelling story that highlights their problem-solving prowess?
Think back to a specific instance where you actually encountered a problem in a warehouse environment.
Okay.
Maybe it was a delayed shipment, a damaged product, a safety hazard, or even just like a simple case of misplaced inventory. The key is to choose a situation that really allowed you to demonstrate those problem-solving abilities.
So it's not just about any problem. It's about choosing one that showcases your skills in the best light.
Absolutely. Now, when you're telling your story, start by setting the scene. Briefly describe the situation and the problem you face.
Okay, paint a picture for the interviewer.
Then, walk them through your thought process. How did you analyze the problem? What steps did you take to address it? What resources did you use? Who did you collaborate with?
So it's about showing them how you think, not just what you did.
Precisely.
Oh.
And don't forget to highlight the outcome. Did you successfully resolve the problem? What did you learn from the experience?
The outcome is key. It shows the impact of your actions and demonstrates your effectiveness as a problem solver.
Exactly. Even if the outcome wasn't ideal, you can still emphasize what you learned and how you'd approach similar situations differently in the future. It's all about growth and continuous improvement.
Okay, let's hear an example to bring this all together. What kind of story would really wow the interviewer?
Imagine you discovered a discrepancy in the inventory records, like a significant number of items are just missing.
Oh, that's not good.
Right. You could say something like, I noticed a discrepancy in the inventory records for a particular product line. I immediately double-checked the physical stock against those digital records to confirm the shortage. Then, I investigated the potential causes. I reviewed recent shipments, returns, internal transfers. I collaborated with the receiving team to trace those missing items. And after a thorough investigation, we discovered a mislabeled pallet that had been accidentally stored in the wrong section of the warehouse. We corrected the error, updated the inventory records, and then implemented a new labeling system to prevent similar mistakes in the future.
Wow, that's a fantastic example.
Yeah.
It highlights initiative, attention to detail, collaboration, and a proactive approach to problem solving.
You got it. And this example ties back to the importance of continuous learning, which was emphasized in the career guide. The ability to, identify problems, analyze them, and implement solutions, it's a skill that you'll continue to develop throughout your entire career.
It's all connected. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to touch on something that's becoming increasingly relevant in the hiring process these days, and that's the role of AI.
That's a great point. AI is making its way into the job market, and warehouse work is definitely no exception.
So how does this impact our listeners' interview prep? What do they need to know about AI in the hiring process?
Well, for starters, it means that your resume and cover letter might be screened by an algorithm before they even reach a human recruiter.
Wow.
So it's more important than ever to tailor your application materials to those specific keywords that these algorithms are looking for.
Okay.
Remember those AI-powered features we talked about earlier from RoleCatcher? They can really help you optimize your resume and cover letter to increase your chances of actually getting noticed.
It's like playing a whole new game, but it's a game you can win with the right tools and strategies.
Exactly. And even during the interview itself, you might encounter those AI-powered tools that are analyzing your responses, assessing your tone of voice, and even tracking your facial expressions. It's becoming increasingly common, especially for larger companies.
So it's not just about impressing the human interviewer anymore. It's about appealing to those, digital gatekeepers as well.
That's right. But don't let the rise of AI intimidate you. It's simply a new element to consider in your interview preparation.
Okay, so how can our listener prepare for this, AI-powered interview landscape?
First and foremost, be clear, concise, and impactful in your responses. Avoid using jargon or overly complex language. Practice your answers in a way that's easy to understand and free of filler words. Think about how you can demonstrate your skills and experience in a way that's both compelling and easily digestible for both human and AI audiences.
So it's about striking a balance between showcasing your personality and presenting yourself in a way that AI can understand.
Exactly. And remember, even in the age of AI, the human touch still matters.
Yeah.
Show enthusiasm, make eye contact if you're in a video interview, and let your personality shine through. Authenticity always wins.
I love that. It's about embracing the technology while staying true to yourself.
Absolutely. Now, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with some final words of wisdom. Remember, preparation is key. Practice your answers, research the company, and most importantly, believe in yourself. You've got the skills, you've got the experience, and now you've got the knowledge to ace that interview.
Yes, you've got this. We're rooting for you. And don't forget to check out RoleCatcher for all those amazing free resources. Those career guides, skills guides, and interview questions are invaluable.
RoleCatcher is your secret weapon in this job hunt. Use it wisely, and you'll be well on your way to landing that dream warehouse job.
All right, folks, that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We hope you found it insightful, empowering, and maybe even a little bit fun.
We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into the world of work and careers. Until then, good luck out there, and remember, you've got this.